morning, my friends. How's everybody doing? I hope your week is going well. Although this is the happiest I've been with the grind in quite some time, I have some concerns that Destiny 2 is going to overdo the drip content, and I hope this video can explain why I think ultimately that may drive some players away from the game and sort of hurts replayability. It's a bit counterintuitive, right? Sprinkle too much content in over too long of a period of time. Isn't that what players want, is more stuff? Yes, but when it is spread out so far to where it's a little sprinkle here and there every single week, you can overdo the FOMO and ultimately burn your players out. So it's week 2 of Beyond Light. Thank you guys so much for the support on my first impressions video. Man, it's been good to be back to the game. For some reference, if you're new, I took a year off of Destiny. I stopped after Shadowkeep and I just came back about a month before Beyond Light, and I haven't put the game down since. Really impressed. A lot of quality of life changes occurred over the last year. It genuinely feels like a great investment game if you enjoy the core gameplay loop of Destiny. It has its faults, it still has its things, and I don't regret taking a year break because I do believe Bungie falls into the trap of doing the drip content too heavily, like leaning on it way too much. Let's be specific here. What does that actually mean? It seems like Bungie's style is, over the course of a season, there'll be something new once a week to check out. Whether that's a new mission node, or maybe a new quest for a piece of gear, or the new season starting. They sprinkle in pretty small activities on a weekly basis. I would consider raids and dungeons and new strikes big content. That's the stuff that really pulls me in and makes me want to do a lot more. But you see, when each week you add just a little sprinkle of something new in that's not very meaningful gameplay, or just adds a new grind for something that doesn't really enhance or impact the experience all that much, it can be sort of fatiguing. I call this overdoing the FOMO because, hey, I'm a player. I don't want to miss out on that one particular mod that drops this week from doing 18 public events and 19 lost sectors on this random planet. And that seems to be a very common theme within Destiny 2. Again, for some reference, I think Beyond Light is actually great. This is the happiest I've been with a grind like this in a really long time. I talked last time about just 2020 is a crazy year, so having a familiar grind, a nice little cubby to crawl into, has been good. I'm 1262 or 3 light. Looking forward to doing the raid soon, and pretty darn close to being done with this season's little pass thing. I look forward to continuing to play. I probably won't be going after any Grandmaster Nightfalls, but I want to put this little visual up here. I know my art skills are incredible. On the far right, you have the hardcore players. These are your streamers and your top 1%. The guys who clear on day 1, they smash out the Grandmaster Nightfalls, they devour content in a heartbeat, and they break the game with crazy builds, utilizing everything in the sandbox to its fullest. On the far left, you have the really casual crowd. Maybe they pick up the expansion, play the story, and put it down, but they're definitely not getting very far in the season pass. They're not raiding, and they're probably not hitting the power cap. And then in the middle, you have folks like me who look forward to playing the game throughout the season, trying to complete your season pass, definitely want to raid and start knocking out maybe some of the higher tier Nightfalls. Not going to get to the Grandmaster, but you're definitely running the 100k on repeat, which by the way, if this video is you're watching it the first week, the 100k this week is super easy. It's the Omnigol new strike, whatever her name is, Navoda. Easiest strike ever, double ordeal rewards. It's very addictive to go and grind that if you're needing some materials. So this little visual helps explain what an absolute balancing act it is as a developer to try and manage the expectations of all these different player types. People in the middle are pissed that the 1% and the streamers just gobble up content super duper fast and can knock things out and spend 18 hours a day for the first week. And then also at the same time, the people on the far right always want more content, always need new stuff to do, always want to push the game to its absolute limits. People on the far left, you know, the ones who are just playing the game casually, they probably want some more story content, right? They want some more missions. They want some more of that more traditional FPS game design stuff. And also they want plenty of the rewards that, like, each tier wants the rewards of the ones to the right of it. The ones on the far left, they want more goods, easier work. Same thing. A lot of times people in the middle want those 1% rewards, but don't have the time to get there. If you're playing an investment game, this graph applies to everything. Like this little line is present in every investment game ever. Path of Exile, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV. You name it, if it's an investment or hobby game, this loop is critical here. And you've got to decide kind of what kind of player you want to be to actually give feedback on these types of things. For myself, I'd say I'm in the middle. I'm going to complete my pass. I'm going to do the things I just talked about. And I'm overall pretty happy with what I've experienced so far. But in order to get those rewards and in order to experience that stuff, you've got to sort of already commit what kind of player you want to be this season. Because if you're on the far left, you bought Beyond Light, you just played the story, and you have no intents of doing anything further. I guess it's intentions, wouldn't it be? Yeah. If you have no intentions of doing anything past that point and you're frustrated that you aren't getting the rewards, you're not getting the experience, you actually have to sort of commit before you know if the reward will pay off. That's the trick with investment games. If you want to be in the middle, you want to get those rewards, you have got to be grinding for that stuff. And sometimes it doesn't pay off. And this is where it circles back to that drip feed content. You sort of have to play through a full season or seasons to really get the extent and the impact of too much drip feed and too slow of a drip feed. Coming into Beyond Light, they vaulted a lot of locations and a lot of gear. After the first week, hearing from player feedback that the loot pool wasn't big enough, they've been adding back in the previous season's loot drops. And that's nice. But it calls into question, did they overdo the vaulting? And now they're dripping back in content we've previously had. You know, right now, unless there's some secret announcement of a new dungeon for Beyond Light, which I certainly hope there will be, there's no real endgame three-man thing other than the Grandmaster Nightfalls. Sure, folks are two-manning sections of the raid, but with the Prophecy dungeon, which was from last season, really cool dungeon. It's gone until next season. Why? Why do that? I'm going to offer an alternative here to Bungie's couple drops a week, bring players back, and it hopefully keeps them engaged throughout the season. I think that burns them out. If I'm on week 9 and there's just another little thing sprinkled back in that I got to go do that's not very impactful, and it just feels like Destiny's hogging all of my time, and the reward isn't there, I'm not fully satisfied, I'm going to put the game down, and I'll think twice about the next season. I don't think it's at that point, by the way. I'm just trying to give an example here. Whereas when a game gives you a whole lot of content at the start versus gatekeeping it over time throughout the season, it ultimately creates a better environment, in my opinion. I've talked about it here before, but there's a great GDC talk from the developers of Path of Exile, Grinding Gear Games, who talk about designing Path of Exile to be played forever, and they share their population stats. They share their strategies of games as a service. And they realize, and they can show it clear as day, when you give a ton of great content up front and let your players just devour, sink their teeth into it, versus a bunch of small updates scattered randomly throughout the course of a season, you have much higher player growth. Whereas the alternative, lots of that drip, inconsistent timings, the churn is through the roof. Players get fatigued and they leave. And the idea behind the Path of Exile method is every 3 months, a new season with lots of content for you to sink your teeth into play, but they also are okay with you taking a break from their game. They want you to reach a point where you've done all the stuff, you've reached the rewards, you're happy with your experience, and you can go play some other games and try out some other stuff, but they want you to come back at the start of the next season. They want you to know that we're bringing more meaningful, great content for you to dig your teeth into. Now, this style, I know, can make the middle of this investment graph sort of frustrated because the people on the right, they're going to devour stuff way faster than the people in the middle can. That's just the reality of it, man. If you're somebody who can play an hour or two a day, you're never going to be on equal footing as the guys who play like 18 hours a day. And you got to be okay with that. You've got to mentally be all right with not being that 1%, but just being mad that, you know, if you do that method, Dragoon, the streamers will just tear through it so quickly. Yes, but you can't prevent that, and the alternative is negative for more sections of the entire player base. What do you guys think about this? I mean, I've heard all sorts of takes over the years about Destiny and investment games. I've played a lot of investment games over the years, World of Warcraft most notably, and I see so many parallels in these different games to where spread the drip out too much, squeeze the lemon too slowly, and ultimately players will leave. Now, I've had a great time with Beyond Light, and I think this is probably the best era or state Destiny 2 has been in. But depending on how this season goes, it doesn't feel like a paradigm shift in terms of their philosophies. I don't think content vaulting has proven itself to be worth it yet. Maybe they're trying to go for like that Diablo style thing where each season they introduce new crazy mods, then have this rolling sunset of the previous season. Time will tell, but so far it definitely feels like more of the same in terms of how they time their content releases and that drip. You watch, in a week or two, there'll be like another quest for something. And hopefully in like 3 weeks we get a dungeon or something. That would be really cool. But they probably have planned over the 12 weeks one little small thing to try and keep you coming back. And they're usually a meaningless grind. 18 public sectors. Public events, lost sectors. It's been a week. I'm ready for the holiday. But what do you think about this, you guys? Am I crazy with the overdoing the drip analysis? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And where do you fall on sort of my lovely image here of the Destiny player? If you can get to the middle, and if you decide I'm going to play throughout the season, I'm going to knock out most of my season pass, I will say it's been very rewarding. I've had a ton of fun, but I'm sort of setting goals for myself now. All that's left is to really go for some gear that I want, masterwork it, get decent mods, and then hopefully start doing some tougher endgame content. And who knows, if we play enough, maybe there's a Grandmaster Nightfall attempt in there somewhere. But overall, really enjoying it. I want to phrase, it's been very fun. But no, it's not a paradigm shift. I think Beyond Light, a lot of people were hoping it to be the Destiny 3, the RPG-ing of Destiny. And yeah, there's crazy mods, and you can build some really sweet things. Stuff that we talked about during Destiny 1 and could only dream of. But it's not Destiny 3 yet. I don't think vaulting that content has paid off. Time will tell. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed, let me know with a like or subscribe to the channel. And follow me on Twitter at BBK Dragoon. I'd love to talk with you guys over there. Enjoy your day. If you're in the US, have a good holiday. And I'll see you again next time.
30 seconds. Slay your enemy and they stay dead. Last life. This is it. What? Wow. All enemies down. All lives expended.